me that Naya is a pretty good place to be, because again, while that Revelation game was unfortunate for Thompson, the other two games did not feel very close, and you play Adrian more sideboard games than you do main deck games.
Absolutely. Now we're into our game 3 here. Will Dave Shiels be a 3-0 finalist, or will Erik Smith win the next 3 games in order to make this a Erik Smith with Jund versus Naya matchup?
So Shiels again up 2-0 here. He is your 3rd seed, Smith your 7th seed. Shiels the more accomplished of these two players. Smith with his back against the wall, so he's got some work to do here. But as we take a look at the deck list for these two players, Shiels is able to board into some better cards in this matchup, but the big one here, and he's employing the Matt Costa strategy, is he can board into Thundermaw Hellkite, he can get games over with. That's the big thing that he has access to, is that no more slow, grindy affair, and trying to, whittle away and resolve big revelations and find relevant cards. And you see a Thundermaw Hellkite in Shiels' hand, he gets to close out games fast, and I like that approach from this guy.
Absolutely. Thundermaw Hellkite, you said it earlier, it's my favorite card in this, or my favorite creature in this standard as well.
Yeah. It's a no-nonsense threat. It gets the game over with fast, and it's huge and it's hard to answer. And if Shiels can get a little bit ahead or get the board at parity, Thundermaw puts the game directly in his favor, and it lets him shift gears, much like from years past. We've seen a deck like Blue-Black Fairies. It's a control deck at the beginning, and then it shifts gears, and you can't come back when it shifts gears. Callblade kind of did the same thing.
See, Huntmaster and a Wolf versus an empty table. Where will Dave go from here? Lots of options.
Well, trust me, he's going to think about it. Because that's what Dave Shiels does. He's going to think about it for quite a while to figure out, how am I going to go about pacing this game? How do I want to navigate the next couple of turns? Do I verdict away this Wolf and this Huntmaster? The answer is yes, but he is leaving himself open to a card like Rakdos' Return or Garrett Primal Hunter, as Smith quickly untaps. Does he have the next land to be able to cast the Garrett? He does.
Ouch. Ouch. What a monstrous play here. He's going to need to get rid of that Garrett practically immediately. 1 or 2 activations of that Garrett will be too much for Dave Shiels, most likely, to be able to handle. There it is. Boom!
It's a good thing that Thundermaw Dragon exists, so that Hellkite is going to take care of that Garrett. Basically, Smith using this as a 5-mana 3/3, and now he's got to deal with a dragon that's in play, and that's difficult to do. Here comes a Lifebane Zombie, the 3/1 with Intimidate, going to take a look at Shiels' hand. He says, "Curses! I didn't want you to cast that card. You got my Restoration Angel, but now you have to see 4 cards that you're probably going to have a hard time beating in Sphinx's Revelation, in Azorius Charm, in Snapcaster Mage, and in Augur of Bolas, ready to replace itself."
It's so funny. There are so few things that Lifebane Zombie can hit.
Yep.
There are just Restoration Angel times 4. But here it is, doing the work.
It hits, and of course, it's not an irrelevant body, a 3-power creature for 3 mana. Well, kind of your trained Armadon, Gnarled Mass type card, but hey, 3 damage is 3 damage.
And Intimidate means that you can't actually sit back with defenders unless you happen to be one of those rare players also playing black creatures.
Yeah, Augur of Bolas, I don't think so. You're not going to get in the way of my Lifebane Zombie. Again, I don't think it's at its best in this matchup, but, if Smith doesn't have anything else to board in, you might as well board in. It is somewhat difficult to answer, in that it does require a spell from Shiels instead of just saying Augur of Bolas, nana boo boo.
Now, both of these players, Erik Smith with Jund and David Shiels with Flash, are going to have to face, waiting in the wings, their Naya opponent, Andrew Tenjum. Naya, as built by the group that we see here before, it was Andrew Tenjum, it was Binek, and one other player was with this deck, I believe. The Sublime Archangel Type 1 deck. This deck very good against both of these opponents, so Andrew Tenjum probably licking his chops at the prospect of playing one of these players.
Yeah, he's got to be pretty happy how this top 8 is lined up for him here, as Shiels is just going to pass the turn back with Thundermaw Hellkite back on defense. Don't forget that thing can play a little bit of defense if necessary. It doesn't always have to attack every single turn. It's going to make attacking for Smith a little bit interesting, and he's going to lead his turn off with a Rakdos' Return, knowing that Shiels does not have a counterspell in his hand. He does have a War Leader's Helix. That's what he added for his draw step. And now Shiels has to figure out what to do about this.
Are we going to see a Sphinx for 2 just to kind of create... Yep, there it is. Sphinx's Revelation in return for 2 in order just to get a little bit of a buffer against this massive discard spell.
6. So he has 6 cards in his hand right now, which means he's going to have to discard 4 of those. He's going to have to take 4 points of damage. It's going to put him down to 9. And now he needs to figure out what 2 cards to keep so that he can navigate this game moving forward. Don't forget as well, Adrian, that Lifebane Zombie is going to come into the red zone as well because it has Intimidate. So it's actually going to knock Shiels down to 6.
Now, War Leader's Helix, obviously a really powerful card, but he is bound by mana, only 5 mana.
Yep.
He's going to have to figure out which of these cards, because there are a lot of good cards there, which of these cards are the ones to keep.
Yeah, the discarding here is so very important because if he discards 1 card incorrectly, it's an absolute nightmare. And you see that he is considering discarding those 4 cards. It looks like he's considering keeping Turn and Burn and Dissipate as his cards that are left. And those are all cards, again, that Smith has not seen. So it might be that he just wants to discard the cards that Smith knows about and keep cards that he hasn't seen and Dissipate and Turn and Burn. I kind of like this, actually.
Now, remember that both of these players have access to the full deck lists, but they've sideboarded.
Yep.
They've sideboarded, so who knows what configuration that either player has put forth. You only can find out by seeing it.
In comes the Lifebane Zombie. Shields going to go down to 6. Shields draws a Rewind. Now things are going to get really interesting.
That was a really cool draw.
Yeah, things are going to get super interesting because now Shields has to pass the turn back. And if Smith does cast a spell pre-combat like a Rakdos Return now, it gets rewound, and now it makes things difficult on Smith. So let's see what he's going to do here. If he's just going to attack first and threaten a Kessig Wolfrun activation, or cast a spell pre-combat and get ruined by a Rewind.
Rewind is such a powerful spell when it gets to be used in that way. Being able to do something first and then a second follow-up. Oh boy. Now, Erik Smith, though, attacks first.
We think.
It appears, maybe not F6, or not F6, undo. Here we go. He's got to decide which spot does he want to do this. Pre-combat? Does he want to do something post-combat?
You know, the thing I like about Rewind, too, is that it's a beautiful one-of in this deck because it's a card that you can't really play around because there aren't a bunch of copies of it. But when it does show up, it's always going to be a backbreaker because it's a free counter spell. I use free in quotes, as here's a pre-combat Doomblade. And we'll see likely that free counter spell in Rewind now to take care of that Doomblade. You see Shields doesn't even tap his mana. So now in comes that Lifebane Zombie. And now, maybe a little turn, a little burn.
He might just burn.
Yep.
There's
so
a
now,
burn.
there goes Lifebane Zombie, and now Smith has to pass the turn back. So Shields is trying his very hardest to stabilize. Moreland Haunt the draw for the turn to go along with the Dissipate. You see Shields going to take a look at his graveyard. We know that he's already discarded a Snapcaster Mage, and there's an Augur of Bolas down there, so it looks like at least 2 activations.
That Dissipate, such a potent card right now. Jund, one of the things it often does is just one power card after another power card. Taking out the good card can matter. I believe there's a Thragtusk in Erik Smith's hand.
Nice of the judge there to make sure that Erik Smith does not draw a second card because he almost did there. So he's going to shuffle the deck just in case he did see it. I don't think that he did, but just in case, we'll be super careful here as purely accidental, but we can fix it, and we will. And then we'll see what Erik Smith did draw. He does have a Thragtusk in his hand, as you did mention. The most important card, I think, here for Smith right now, he has 2 of them in play, are those Kessig Wolfruns. How to use them in this situation.
He's already seen cards like Azorius Charm. Going in with that beast into an Azorius Charm is always a scary prospect, particularly because he knows if he goes in, that means it's one more turn where Dave Shiels wouldn't have to use a counterspell. So we're going to find out. Thragtusk, last card in hand. Dave Shiels, are you going to dissipate it? Yes.
I think that's an easy counterspell there for Dave. He's also going to be able to leave up a Moreland Haunt activation, so here comes a Spirit token. You see right now in Smith's hand, it looks like he has a backup Thragtusk and a Farseek. So there's your Spirit token. Shields going to untap, and this is a big draw step for him. He's looking for a spell. A land will not cut it in this situation. What's he find? It's a negate.
Hopefully for Dave Shiels, Erik will draw a spell that he views as powerful enough to warrant casting, and Dave will get to use that negate.
Shields kind of looking over his graveyard here, and this is one of the things that you actually have the opportunity to do when you're playing with blue-red flash, is you can kind of look at your graveyard and say, I drew a Snapcaster Mage. That's pretty lucky. Or you can just make a little bit of bluffs. You know, consider some things otherwise. He could maybe even attack the Thundermaw Hellkite there and bluff a Restoration Angel because, hey, I can just untap it. So you saw him look through his graveyard, even though he didn't draw Snapcaster Mage, maybe get Erik Smith thinking a little bit about a card that doesn't actually exist. I like the minor play there from Shiels, as Smith is going to play an Overgrown to untap pre-combat.
What will he do? 5 mana. There it is, the Thrag Tusk that Dave Shiels did not want to see.
Yep. So that's going to come in. It's going to put Smith up to 24. He's going to Farseek. Shiels definitely not going to negate this. That's perfectly fine. But now Smith is cardless, in theory, because he has no cards in his hand, but he certainly has a spell in play. It just happens to be Kessig Wolfrun.
That's right. Now, Snapcaster Mage lives in the graveyard here. Soon it will become a ghost.
Yes.
And
more
now,
than one activation, going to give Shiels a spirit.
2 ghosts in play, a 1/1 flying spirit ×2, a dragon, that's 5/5, facing off versus a Thrag Tusk and a beast. Shiels needs a big draw here. A land.
Clifftop Retreat, not that big draw you speak of. More of a Sphinx's Revelation, I think, is what he had in mind.
Kessig Wolfrun on 1 creature could do up to 5 right now.
Yep. So Shiels not going to play the land, just going to pass the turn back. There's a duress.
Wow. Let's check your hand out.
That's, oddly enough, that's worth negating, I think.
Oh yeah. Get rid of the negate. I've got a mystery in here. It's a good one.
Yep.
Big mystery.
So he's going to negate because he doesn't want Smith to know the information that he does just have a land, and the duress would take the negate anyway, so he's going to counter it. But Smith predictably is going to come into the red zone here. He's got a Kessig Wolfrun activation for 4, so see how Shiels is going to block. And I don't know if there's a block that keeps him alive because he's at 6.
Well, that assumes that Erik goes all in, which is a reasonable play. But Dave Shiels with the card in his hand, maybe Erik will run scared.
Yeah, you know, is he willing to just move in at this point? Is he scared of Azorius Charm?
He doesn't look scared.
Is he scared of War Leader's Helix or anything of that nature? Can he even afford to play around those cards at this juncture? That's the question. Will he move all the way in, as you said?
He does not look scared. That face was the face of a man who was not scared.
Yep.
Now, Dave Shiels trying to represent like he doesn't care if you pump it up.
I like the block here from Shiels. It gives Smith the opportunity to make the biggest mistake possible with this single block, but he's going to activate it on the Beast token, 4/4, going to make it a 7-power Beast, 7-1 is 6. That'll be exact season. We'll be moving on to a 4th game here between Shiels and Smith.
Now, yeah, I really liked that block primarily because it gave Smith a reason to believe that Shiels had something.
Yeah, and, you just want to give your opponent the opportunity to make a mistake there. And is it likely he'll make a mistake? No, but you have to give yourself the opportunity to win, the best chance to win. I think that's what Dave Shiels did with that singular spirit block on that Beast token. Does he win that game? No, but he gave himself the opportunity to let Erik Smith make a mistake, and that's all he can ask for in that situation. As we're going to take a look at the sideboards now here, as we did jump into this match, starting in game 3. So, for game number 4, Shiels is going to be on the play, so we'll start with him, okay? We see 3 Issa Staticaster, 3 Thundermaw Hellkite, which we know are in the deck.
Yes.
2 copies of Detention Sphere, 3 Celestial Fair, a Dispel, and 3 copies of Negate. We don't know how many negates are brought in here from Shiels, but when you look at Smith's main deck and his sideboard, he's got plenty of spells to counter.
I like all of the negates personally.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I like all of the Hellkites. Maybe, could be 2, could be 3. One of the cards I'm less excited about usually against Jund is Detention Sphere, but Erik Smith, Abrupt Decay is the reason I'm usually not excited about it. No Abrupt Decays.
Okay, that's actually a pretty good feeling.
As a result of no Abrupt Decays, those Detention Spheres look a lot more promising.
Yeah, I actually like Detention Spheres a little bit more now that those don't exist, mostly as ways to take care of Planeswalkers. I mean, the creatures that they can take out, it's like Huntmaster the Fells, it's Wolf Token, Thrag Tusk, all pretty meh. I think Erik Smith would sideboard out Olivia anyway, but having a clean answer to a Garruk or a Liliana, I think warrants bringing in Detention Sphere.
Yeah. Now, the other clean answer, of course, to a Planeswalker, we saw it earlier this game, Thundermaw Hellkite.
Yeah.
Generally a very clean answer to any Planeswalker.
Oh yeah, it gets the job done every single time. It'll take down a Garruk and then it can finish you off. Unfortunately for Shiels, a Rakdos return from Smith made him put the brakes on the Dragon a little bit, and that thing does not like to be playing defense.
Now, Underworld Connections from Smith is the first and most obvious card to bring in, I think, as well as Duress, Rakdos Returns, and Sire of Insanity. The Lifebane Zombies, a little surprising, but we saw them be very effective there, taking out a Restoration Angel. If you remember Dave Shiels' face, He was like, "Ah, are you kidding me? I didn't know that was going to happen."
Yeah, you know, I kind of with Shiels there, where I would be a little bit surprised as well to see Smith board those in, because the targets for that thing are Restoration Angel ×4 and nothing else. But it is a 3/1. It does have Intimidate. It does bypass Snapcaster Mage. It does bypass Augur of Bolas, and it demands a removal spell. So, you know, bringing that card in, is it worth it? Well, we saw it be pretty good that game. You know, a best case scenario gets a Restoration Angel and probably gets in for anywhere between 3 to 9 points of damage. I think that's best case. But Erik Smith lived the dream that game. It was best case scenario. That did happen, and that's why it looks like he ended up winning that game.
One of the things, there are a lot of dead cards for Erik Smith. I know that there's a Moreland Hunt in there, but that's about the only reason I would want to even think about Bonfire of the Damned. I'm not excited about this card versus Blue, White, Red Flash.
No,
and
I don't like it at all.
Yeah, so with all of the cards Erik might bring out, we saw those Lifebane Zombies. We could be talking about maybe he thinks they're good and he's bringing them in just because, or maybe it's just that 59th and 60th card. It's better than a Bonfire, so that's what it's going to end up being.
You know, we mentioned this at the top when we were going over the tail of the tape. One of the things that's really nice here for Smith is that it's a 5-game match, because he's going to be a dog game number 1, which he lost, but he's able to sideboard into cards that actually matter a lot more. He gets to sideboard out those cards like Bonfire of the Damned that you mentioned, like Olivia Valderin, which is pretty mediocre, and he gets to board in Sire of Insanity, Underworld Connection, Skullgary Charm, Liliana the Veil, Duress, that additional Rakdos' return. Then he can start coming after Shields from multiple angles with some efficient creatures, some efficient spells, and some planeswalkers. That's going to make things very difficult on Shields. That's why I like the fact that Shields brings in Thundermaw Hellkite, because instead of trying to fight around planeswalkers and discard efficient creatures, just get them dead.
Yeah.
And that's what Thundermaw allows him to do, and that's why I think he's brought him in this particular matchup.
One of the other cards that is a problem for Dave if the game goes long, Cavern of Souls in Erik Smith's main deck. We haven't seen much of Cavern, but because Cavern is there, he cannot guarantee that a long game will mean he can just counter.
Yep. So, we will go on to game number 4 here. You've got Blue, White, Red Flash on one side, you've got Jund on the other, and if you guys are just joining us, Cedric Phillips, Adrian Sullivan, Star City Games Open Series, featuring the Invitational here in New Jersey. Jerry Thompson, defending champion, dispatched at the hands of Andrew Tenjum playing Naya. Tenjum, you see him in the background there of Dave Shields with the Roxy card shirt on. Gonna walk away for now and take a breather, but he is looking to see who he's going to play against. Will it be Shields? Will it be Smith? Will it be Blue, White, Red Flash, which he had very little trouble taking care of? Or will it be Jund, which I'm sure he's beaten a couple times over the course of this tournament?
Absolutely. Also in the background, just barely to the left of Dave Shields, you could see a second ago Gerard Fabiano, not only one of the few level 50 planeswalkers in the entire world, but a StarCityGames.com Open Series commentator.
Yeah. Gerard checking out this match. Friends with Erik, friends with Dave. So he's very interested to see who's going to end up winning this one. As you see, Shields is going to take a mulligan here. He's going to go down to at least 6. He will be playing first in this 4th game. Mulliganing for this deck that does have Think Twice in the Azorius Charm and Waste the Build Velocity, not the end of the world. It can afford to take 1. Doesn't want to take 2, though, when he's going to be playing into a deck that he knows does have Rakdos' Return, Duress, Liliana the Veil, and those efficient threats. And don't forget about those Planeswalkers as well in your Primal Hunter.
If you are just joining us, you've missed a lot of magic. Hopefully you've been with us this whole time. 16 rounds for the Invitational going into this. Now we are in the semifinals, 11 rounds of the Standard Open, and then the top 8. We are almost done with the Invitational, but after this, Legacy, a whole bunch more people there. 500 players, 500 plus players in that event.
That might be our biggest Legacy Open of all time, actually.
Yeah, 528.
Yeah, that's a lot of people who came out for Legacy. Probably has something to do with the old Mythic Madness giveaway we've been doing. If you guys have followed us on our Star City Games Facebook page or the Twitter, you saw that Shaheen Saroni, he busted a Jace the Mind Sculptor yesterday in the Standard Open, and really, why wouldn't he? You know, to add, it's probably like his 81st Jace. You know, you're going to see him cast that for the entire time that it's legal, excuse me. And Shaheen, the rich get richer. Excuse me.
Okay. Now, one of the things for Erik Smith, he did pick up that last game. He's still got to do it 2 more times. I mean, I don't know about you, but I have been at the 0-2 position. It is not a good feeling when you're in a best of 5 trying to figure out, God, how can I get 3 more wins out of this? I just lost 2.
Well, I've only been in that position one time in my life when I top 8 at the Pro Tour in Kyoto in 2009, where I got You know, I'm actually super happy I wasn't on camera as I was getting utterly mangled by Brian Robinson playing Doran, where I lost game 1 in comical fashion. I got completely mauled game 2. And unsurprisingly, I was a little bit deflated going into game 3, and what I felt was a pretty good matchup for my Kithkin deck. And when they cut to me on the camera, I was being attacked for somewhere in the realm of 17 damage via Doran and Wiltleaf Leech and Rafik of the Many. So yeah, it's a pretty bad feeling, but you can come back. You can win a game. You can have your opponent mulligan to 5 to even things up, is what Shiels has done here. And his hand he's going down to 4.
Oh my goodness.
Eric, if you want to do a little bit of a fist pump, maybe a mental fist pump, you're allowed to do that right now. Your opponent's going to 4 when your back was against the wall.
There's nothing not classy about the mental fist bump.
Yes.
It's the
you can do that.
It's the you know, real world fist bump that's a little bit rude.
To be fair, the last time I saw someone mulligan to 4 while doing coverage, Grand Prix Miami, Harry Corvasi down to 4 cards against David Sharfman, Junk Reanimator versus Jun. Harry Corvasi did win the match. Anything is possible.
I mean, we've seen it happen on SCG Live. All kinds of magic happens. Sometimes, you know what? You get that perfect 4 and it works out.
Improbable? Yes. Impossible? No.
Okay, David Shiels hoping 4 cards can do the trick.
Shiels, you know, for Shiels, he has to be happy that he has a game to give right now. You know, that this isn't game 5, and, you know, it's just like, oh no, it all fell apart. I'm mulligan to 4 in the most important game of my tournament. Why? So for him, he's got to be pretty stoked, if you're looking for positives, that, hey, I still got a game to give away. I still have a 5th game to go to. And you see, I think he's got at least 1 land. He's got Steam Fence and multiple copies of Think Twice, so he can do his best here. There's a Blood Crypt. Draw, turn burn.
Pass. No second land for Dave Shiels. And there's a Scavenging Ooze that's going to make those Think Twices a little less effective.
There's a Sulfur Fall. So hey, he can at least play a little bit of magic. He can burn that thing as well. So
Erik Smith, I see the Farseek.
Yep.
The Rakdos returns
in
hand. That seems unfair.
Dave might not have much of a hand moving forward. You see Shiels draws, I think, a Glacial Fortress for the turn. He does, so he's actually finding some lands. And it's funny because we'll probably see Smith fire off a Rakdos return for 3, and Shiels will just go, awesome, discard 2 Think Twice. This could be way worse for me.
Okay, a little bit of a cut there, and we go back to Erik Smith. Untap. He puts his hand down.
All right.
Huntmaster of the Fells.
Luckily for Shiels as well, those Think Twices are actually going to be working pretty well from this game because he can actually control Huntmaster of the Fells pretty well, stopping it from flipping. As here's a Think Twice, going to draw Shiels a Restoration Angel. Shiels will draw for his turn, didn't quite get a good look at it.
Azorius Charm joins Think Twice, Restoration Angel.
And a Sulfur Falls.
Yep.
So how does Shiels want to navigate here? You know he's going to think everything through, even when he's on a mulligan to 4, never say die attitude, because any game can be won in Magic with your back against the wall. He's going to play his 4th land. He does have access again to Restoration Angel, to Azorius Charm, and Think Twice. So as difficult as mulligan to 4 can be, he actually gets to play some Magic in this game, and that's pretty good for him. Now it's going to take some very, very good draw steps. He's going to play Restoration Angel in the main phase. Smith's going to quickly untap, but he can at least play here a little bit, and that's got to be a good feeling for him.
Goodbye, hand.
There goes the Azorius Charm and the Think Twice via Rakdos' return. Rakdos' return has been a lot better.
Untap for Dave Shiels. Still has 2 Think Twice in the graveyard, so that Huntmaster is not going to flip if Dave does not want it to.
So flashback Think Twice out, Shiels will start. There's a Cavern of Souls. You see Azorius Charm is the other card in his hand right now. Does he play the Cavern of Souls? He's going to. We'll see what it's going to name. We'll find out from our judge here at the table.
I mean, he's putting up an amazingly good fight for someone that triple mulliganed and then was Rakdos returned.
Yeah, it really, really is. He's trying his bestest as it is going to name Angel. The problem here of many. I was going to say the problem is that Kessig Wolf Run, but Liliana's going to be a problem as well. It's going to go down. It's going to eat away that Restoration Angel. Now here comes Huntmaster of the Fells and the Wolf token.
Can we imagine some draws for Dave here to recover from this?
I mean,
is it going to be Think Twice into Sphinx's Revelation a couple turns down the line?
I think it starts with Thunderbolt Hellkite on this exact turn, and maybe getting into Liliana the Veil, or just getting in to the red zone and maybe trying to start racing. But that's not what he found. He's going to flashback a Think Twice yet again and draw a Thunderbolt Hellkite.
So what he can do on this coming turn, discard one of those land or Azorius Charm to the Liliana, and then finish it off with Thundermaw, assuming nothing goes wrong.
Yeah, I think what he wants to do this turn, he's probably going to hold the land so he can discard to Liliana because he knows that it's going to be ticking up. He's probably going to Azorius Charm whatever gets Wolf Run, assuming that Smith does Wolf Run. If you're Shields, you're hoping he Wolf Runs into something. And then the next turn, play Thunderbolt Hellkite, smash into Liliana, and try to take some form of control that way.
Erik Smith, Liliana at 1, Huntmaster and a Wolf, and an empty table on the other side of the board.
If you're Shields, you are begging your opponent to attack and Wolf Run.
Oh,
yes!
That is so
you
good.
are dying for that to happen. So, Azorius Charm takes care of the Wolf token. The Wolf Run, not that big of a backbreaker, and now Shields going to draw a card. It's a Steam Vents.
That's actually perfect, I think. He just wants to get some land in play.
Yeah.
He wants a Sphinx's Revelation later.
Yep. So Thundermaw's going to take care of the Liliana. He's going to play the land now, and I'm with you. He just wants to find land so he can at least resolve a Revelation. Shields is putting up one hell of a fight here on 4 cards. There's a Wolf Run activation that's going to be 4/4.
This is a big one. He's going to flip over that Huntmaster into a Ravager.
Yep.
Now we need a spell, something good.
There
we go.
It's a Hollow Fountain. He's going to concede the game. So Dave Shields is going to lose game number 4. Smith and Shields, they're tied up to 2-2. We're going on to game 5.
Now, students of Magic, if you want to learn a little bit, you should rewatch that game a few times, and it gives you an idea. Planning ahead, there were several choices that Dave had to make.
Yep.
That planning made it so it was possible that he could be able to win that one. Now we're going to go to a final game 5. Both of these players taking a little bit of a break. You can see this match is 70 minutes long thus far. If you're joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan here with Cedric Phillips. That is our sideboard up on the left and on the right. You see Erik Smith's sideboard displayed, and on the right we see David Shields' sideboard displayed. We've seen the Thundermaw Hellkites. We've seen the Negates. We haven't yet seen Detention Sphere. Those are the cards we've discussed. And on the other side, we've seen those zombies. We've seen Duress.
Yep.
We've seen Underworld Connections. He didn't even have to cast it. It was just hiding in Erik Smith's hand.
He just went Wolf Running a little bit there and was able to get the job done after Shields did draw a Hollowed Fountain to end the game. Shields, it's fun when you're like, fun's probably not the right word, but when you're like kind of coming back from Mulligan to 4, you get a little kick in your step. You're going, this would be an awesome comeback if you have like all lands and that Wolf Run wasn't there, or if I drew, Warriors He looks to kill your Huntmaster, that'd be awesome. You saw Shields kind of get back into the game a little bit after Mulligan to 4. Unfortunately, draws a Hollowed Fountain, ends up losing the game. We'll be going on to a game number 5. So while those 2 players are going to take a short break, we're going to do the same. Right now, we're kind of in this tense mode as we're going to figuring out who's going to win the Invitational. So we're going to lighten it up a little bit here. The way that we're going to do that is Evan Irwin is going to get pied in the face. A bunch by Brad Nelson, Todd Anderson, and Brant's girlfriend. If you haven't seen Evan get pied in the face and lose a bunch of pie bets before, this video came out last week. We're going to run it for you guys right now. So we're going to bring the mood back a little bit. We'll be back for you guys as soon as those players do get back. For right now, let's watch my boss get pied in the face a bunch.
You say pie, I want pie, I want pie.
So as all of you know, Evan is really bad at pie bets.
Because just statistically, it seems like they're not going to do it. Why do you, I'll bet
Statistically.
I'll bet you a pie.
It's Fireball, it's Time Walk, it's Tap Your Guy, it's Tempo, it's everything.
All right, I'm going to let you even up on the pie bet here.
No way this card is not constructed playable.
You think this is going to see constructed play?
Yes.
Is there a third pie bet on the line?
What? I make them. I don't actually expect to be pied at the end of them.
All right, but yeah, so we have 3 pies.
of reckoning.
What happened to the pie?
I was hungry.
Oh man. All right. Anyway,
Well, we got 2.75 pies.
I won 3 pie bets against Mr. Evan Irwin, and I'm going to let my best friend Todd Anderson and my beautiful girlfriend Raelle throw the other 2 because I just don't. I don't feel like after one it's gonna feel that good, you know.
Go last.
Oh, you want to go? No, I get to go last.
I want to go.
Fine, you can go last. Anyway.
Oh my
all right.
God.
So how do you want to do it?
How do I want to do it?
How do you want to do it?
Just
You wanna
go.
get
Just do it.
Ah, thank you. How do you want to do this? Throw the pie! That's all I want you to do.
Was it delicious?
It's pretty good. Oh, that's a lot of pie. That's an extreme amount of pie. Oh, jeez. I can't even see myself. Gross. Oh, it's in my ear. Oh, God. Oh.
And you still have 2 more pie bets riding?
I got 1. Maybe I shouldn't have made it.
It's always nice watching Evan Irwin get pied, so you don't have to. Both players shuffling up here for game number 5. Sideboard's on the screen here. Do you think anything's really going to change here from what we've talked about?
I mean, Dave Shiels at this point, all that's happened thus far in these games that we've watched is Thundermaw, Hellkite, and Negate have proven that they're in the deck. We haven't seen any evidence of Detention Sphere.
Yep.
I think Dave Shiels is going to stay the course no matter what he does. It's possible Erik Smith, it looks like we even saw his sideboard box opening up there, his deck box opening up. Maybe he's shifting out around a little bit for this last game now that he's got a little bit more information, or maybe he was just reviewing to make sure he didn't miss anything. But we're going to see Rakdos Returns, Sire of Insanity, Duress, Underworld Connections as certain choices from Erik Smith. And then Dave Shiels, I don't see any reason for him to change anything.
Yeah, I think that he's probably just going to stay the course, and we'll end up seeing what does happen here. For Shiels, I mean, step 1 is just finding a reasonable hand to keep, I think, and then just moving forward from there. Again, he won the first 2 games. Smith evens it up by winning the next 2 games, the 4th one off a mulligan to 4 there from Shiels. I think we're going to have a pretty good game number 5 between these 2 players against these 2 juggernauts of decks in our standard format.
Yeah, both of these players not only have access to each other's deck list, but they received those deck lists, all 7 of their competitors in the top 8, last night. So if they wanted to, either they or their friends could sit up and do all of the work. This morning they could do the work. And you know what? That kind of ability to prepare really, really lets you have a good shot at understanding how a matchup works. I don't know if either of these players put that work in, but that extra knowledge can make a huge difference.
So who's it going to be, Andrew Tenjum? Who are you going to play? You're going to play Dave Shiels playing Blue White Red Flash, which you've already dispatched one of the best Blue White Red Flash players in the entire world, in former defending champion Jerry Thompson? Or are you going to play against Jund from Erik Smith, a deck that I'm sure that you have beaten a time or 2 before? Tenjum, as you see him watching on, he's got to be feeling pretty good about this.
Oh
right
yeah,
now.
I would be very happy to be sitting with those matchups, and I think Tenjum would prefer to see Dave Shiels win. The Blue-White-Red Flash matchup has been, from what I've been seeing, a much, much more lopsided matchup. Jund, they can go toe-to-toe with you, and it's possible that Jund and the Naya matchup far closer to even.
Yeah, I feel like the Jund Naya, you know, they're both mid-range decks. I think it favors Jund just a touch, but I think that Tenjum is rooting for Shiels to get the job done here, and we'll see who ends up winning this 5th and final game. Is Dave Shiels happy with his hand? Yeah, he's got 3 lands. Looks like he's got Sacred Foundry and Double Glacial Fortress. Got a Revelation and Azorius Charm there as well. So it actually looks like his starting hand is pretty good. And he is going to keep, as is Smith, game number 5 to see who's going into the finals in the Invitational is underway.
Is that an Is It charm as well? That would be an excellent turn 2 play against a potential Farseek if it is. Yet another land.
Sulfur Falls the draw step. There's your Glacial Fortress.
Says go.
Liliana the Veil the draw here for Smith, and he's got a turn 2 Scavenging Ooze, just like last game.
And that can be Is It charmed for 2 damage.
Yeah. You see,
should Dave want to.
Yeah, you see Shiels kind of thumbing through his hand here, considering his options. He doesn't have the counter magic like Thompson does, but he does have a lot more spot removal. Is It charm one of those spot removal cards? And now he's going to deliberate on if he does want to do that or not.
The Is It charm, importantly, can take care of one of Erik Smith's powerful spells later. And I think Dave here, who is passing on and letting that resolve, is thinking, you know what, I'm going to resto that later, or maybe I'll kill that some other way. Right now I don't need to worry about it, and I'll let a 2-2 bear hit the table.
Yeah, and I like not killing this. I think Scavenging Ooze in this matchup is kind of like this glorified 2-2 for 2. Yes, it does have some other techs as far as removing instants and sorceries from Shields' graveyard to make Snapcaster Mage a little bit worse, but at this stage of the game, it's a 2-2 for 2. He can use his life total as a resource. That's why Revelation and Zorius Charm and cards like that are in his deck to make creatures like Scavenging Ooze a lot worse. Is Shields going to make a move here? He is going to Zorius Charm this. What this means, Adrian, is that he's leaving himself open to be Liliana of the Veiled right now.
Ooh, and there is a payment of 2 life.
Yeah.
There's a Liliana. Thankfully for Dave Shields, he does have a Restoration Angel in hand. So next turn with the laying of a land, what he can do is at the end of Erik Smith's following turn, put an Angel into play and start swinging. But that's going to mean that there are going to be some cards lost. +1 on Lily. Discard for both of these players. What are you going to lose, Dave Shields?
So Shields considering his options on what to discard. 2 Revelations, and Is It Charm, an Encroaching Waste, and a Glacial Fortress in his hand. Looks like that Lilianaville is going to be a pretty big problem moving forward. And it looks like he's going to discard one of his 2 copies of Revelation, it looks like. You see Smith is just already ready to discard. He's going to discard Olivia Valderin. So Shields is going to untap. He's going to draw. He finds a Syncopate. Again, a little bit late to the party. And I think Shields may look back on that decision of Zorius Charm, that Scavenging Ooze, as a mistake, especially if Liliana of the Veil gets out of control.
1 Liliana of the Veil in the main deck, but the sideboard, 2 more Liliana of the Veil. So,
yeah, and Shields knows that. They have access to the deck list, so he knows that Smith does have access to a lot of those after sideboard. So that's why it's a little bit surprising to see him with Zorius Charm and Scavenging Ooze, where he could use his life total as a resource, take a couple of blows from that, resolve a Revelation, undo all the work that did, but now he's got to worry about Liliana ticking on up. We're going to see Smith play an Overgrown Tomb. Here comes the Huntmaster of the Fells before that Liliana activation. It looks like that's going to resolve.
it says how many cards? 3. Huntmaster, what do you think? Let's stop it.
Now, I like syncopating this here. Get that thing out of the way, and now he just needs to figure out a way to be able to take care of Liliana Veil. Of course, he's got plenty of draws to be able to do that with. Thundermaw Hellkite, very clean answer, of course, and he does have a 5th land in his hand in Encroaching Waste to get the job done there. Also, a card like Warleader Shields can certainly slow it down, as Shields is going to discard his Is It Charm. Smith's going to discard the Scavenging Ooze that was a Zorius Charm, but let's see what Shields' draw step is going to be.
Dissipates.
More counter magic.
Land, 5 mana now. Dissipate likely to be one of the possible discards here. Oh, but Garrick Relentless, you can't let that happen.
No, you can't. And this is why, again, at the top when we were discussing the matchup, this is why it being a 5-game match is so important for Smith. Because he lost the first 2 games, but his deck is so good after sideboard against Blue White Red. All of his cards are haymakers in this matchup. Up goes the Liliana to 6. Both players no hand. Is it Thundermaw? It's
No.
a Steam Vents past the turn back. Will Smith activate the ultimate, or will he put Liliana up to 7?
This is actually a very hard question. Goes halfsies, split your permanents. Let's see what we do.
All right. Will Shiels have a response here? Looks like he may encroaching wastes. He might.
And that is indeed the thing contemplated there.
And he will, because he knows that he's going to only get to keep 3 lands anyway. Like, depending on how Smith splits this, it's probably going to be a 3-2 split. He knows he's only going to get to keep 3 anyway, so he might as well encroaching waste because he's only going to get to keep 3 things.
Wow.
And so, yeah, those are going to go to the bin. He's going to get to keep 3 lands.
I don't much care for that split, actually. I would have liked to have forced a color choice.
Yeah?
Like, there was the opportunity there. Put all of the red in one and no whites.
Yeah, he did have that option. I think if you're Shiels, he just drew a land for the turn. I think you just play it so that you don't get Liliana'd. He's going to play Hollow Fountain and pass. There's a Cavern of Souls. What does Smith have here? Oh, this is going to get real interesting now. Okay.
Empty hand, empty hand.
I think Sacred Foundry the draw
One
there.
card each now.
Beast is the name for Smith. Looks like he drew a spell. Scavenging Ooze is not bad here. Not great, but not bad.
Scavenging Ooze has a few targets. There's an Olivia that was discarded earlier. The other Scavenging Ooze from earlier.
You see Shiels has drawn 3 straight lands in a row. Has a Steam Vents, has a Sacred Foundry. Gonna play Sacred Foundry. Has to turn back. We're gonna see some Ooze activations. Just one, actually. Right now. Ah, Smith's card in his hand that he's been holding on to. I thought it might be of no relevance. Horribly wrong. It's a Rakdos' Return.
Oh, Lord. We see the other creature also eaten. The Ooze now a 4/4.
All right. So Smith's going to gain a little bit of life. He's going to attack for a relevant amount of damage. And will he pass back? He is. Shiels draws his card. Thundermaw.
That's a good draw.
Buckle up.
That look on Shields' face like, oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think he's thinking about buckling up. I think it's time, it's time to get in the red zone and hope he doesn't have a removal spell. Here we go. I think if you're Dave, you play this land and you keep going. He's not going to play it. I'm a little bit surprised. Garrett Primal Hunter in Smith's hand does not have triple green. He has Rakdos' Return. I think his draw this turn was another Scavenging Ooze. So the race is on, and if you're Smith, you need Shields not to draw anything of relevance because right now the race is not really favoring Smith.
4 power, a lot of power. It's not 5. Smith already down in the race. The Rakdos returns for 3, knocks Dave Shields to 13.
There goes a land. I wonder if him not playing that land is going to be backbreaker, or did he try to entice a Rakdos' Return here from Smith as Shields is going to untap. Big draw here coming for Dave.
What do we got?
Hallowed Fountain. I think you have to keep coming.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I definitely think that you have to. You have to hope right now at this point. Erik doesn't draw anything. One thing that you have that Erik doesn't have, you've got access to War Leader's Helix.
Yep.
Lots of cards that you could get to that would do something like that. A Restoration Angel, for example, could hop in the way, make a block happen later if you wanted to get into that kind of position. There are no blockers that Erik Smith can put out there that are particularly exciting. Well, Olivia Voldaren, we thought we were going to be boarded out, but there was still one left in. So
I think if you're Shields, you just have to keep attacking and just hope to get a little bit lucky. That's I think all that you can do. As Smith is going to attack for 4 yet again, Shields going to go down to 5.
3 cards in hand.
Garrick, Primal Hunter, Scavenging Ooze, and a mystery card.
That Garrick, such a great card. 1 green short. That Cavern of Souls, a great card. What is this?
All right. Smith's going to go down to 6 to play a Garrick. Is he going to draw cards?
Wow.
Is he going to draw cards and make a beast?
If he makes a beast,
he's gonna
he
draw
would be
cards.
threatening the ability to kill Dave
2,
next turn.
3,
Instead, he's drawing 4
4.
cards, hoping to tear away anything that he can do or that Dave can do. We've got mana for a Duress. There is a Duress.
Duress is a miss. It's a land. Shields. This is a huge draw. This is a huge draw. Untaps. Burn spells will get it on. What does he draw? Clifftop retreat. He's going to
That's
concede the
it.
game.
Wow.
Dave Shiels concedes. Erik Smith wins this match 3-2, and we'll be moving on to the finals to play against Andrew Tenjum, playing Naya.